Hey everybody, this is Andy Ryan with the PixelBlips podcast. So Dave and I are stuck in two separate locations today, which with the last month or so, I've been sick, Dave's had a puppy, so we
Yes,
haven't
it
been
hurt
able
a
to...
lot.
What?
It hurt a lot having that puppy. Huge puppy as she is, it hurt a lot.
Yeah. So we haven't been able to get our schedules synced correctly to do this in one location. So a lot like last winter and the winter before, when we had to resort to Google Chat, we're resorting to Google Chat one more time.
But that's
Um,
okay, because Google Chat's easier for both of us to schedule things in. So,
yeah, it's
um,
easier to wiggle in an hour, hour and a half to do Google Chat than a 3 hour window.
yeah.
Although we don't get to go out to lunch anymore, and I'm starved right now.
And we both have things of each other's that we need to get back to each other.
Yes, we do.
But that's okay.
So Dave, you recently got well, let's talk about what we got for
Oh, hi.
Christmas and around Christmas.
Okay.
Okay.
You want to go first or you want me to go first?
You do something that is not 3DS related, and
Okay.
then I'll go.
Well, okay. So I got like Assassin's Creed and Dragon. What the hell is that name of that game? Dragon Age.
Dragon Age Inquisition.
Yes, I got Dragon Age Inquisition.
How you doing with that?
Been playing too much of other things.
Yeah, that happens.
Well, part of it was I had just and I hate to say this, but I picked up the WoW expansion and I played it, and I've already burnt myself out on it.
just
But
you just got to keep going to that crack, man.
I know. Well, the leveling through the expansion wasn't too bad, and the whole like Garrison, your camera was tilting up. It's
Oh,
okay.
it is. It's
It's
shooting.
fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Don't touch it. God, touched it. It's broken. Okay. It's just weird because it drifted up very slowly. And
Well, it's like sitting on three books.
yeah,
So
yeah. Well, if it slides down, you'll notice. But anyway,
yeah,
so leveling through the expansion wasn't too bad, and it's always the in-game grind that really gets you. If you don't
yep,
have people that you play with regularly, like a guild or just a handful of friends, which I had people I was playing with, but then it got to the point where like nobody wanted to do 5-mans, everybody wanted to do raids, and then when we all got the raid finder gear, we were like, well, now we got to do real raids, so we have to find like 8 other people to play with, and scheduling never lines up on my end, so because I only play in the mornings before work, and nobody's awake or nobody's around to dedicate that much time during that day. So
yeah, that sucks, man. I was thinking about the other day because someone mentioned hanging out with their buddies for the Super Bowl and they hadn't been able to hang out with their
mm,
buddies forever, and I was like, you don't realize it until you don't have it anymore. But we spent so much time hanging out because we both had odd schedules that just
yeah,
happened to sync up
and,
sort of
and well, and it,
correctly.
and it used to work out really well because my wife would work on Sundays, and yours worked goofy hours sometimes. So I always had like half of Sunday open to do whatever, and
Yeah,
but it works out. We can still figure stuff out like that.
yeah.
Um,
It's just you don't know what you got till it's gone, to quote Joni Mitchell.
right.
Um,
Yes. Um, but really, like gaming wise, yeah, I got that, and that was pretty much it. I think somebody gave me a year's worth of Plus.
oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, I don't have to pay for Plus this year.
So I got uh, a huge brain fart. One second. Um,
Uh,
I also got Dragon Age Inquisition,
okay.
which a lot like what happened with Skyrim, where I just cleared everything out of my video game schedule and just sunk 80 hours into it over the course
Yep.
of like 3 or 4 weeks.
Well, you got to level up all those little characters individually, right? Like, you
Well,
can't
and
just
then
do
like
level 1 and then they all get XP.
yeah, I was barely out of chapter 2, and I flashed the trophy that was like, you recruited everyone you can, and I was like, okay, well I got everybody now, so let's start shuffling up and see who works better with whom. I didn't
So,
like one of the mages, so I traded her out, and then I didn't like the mage I traded her out for, so then I traded in the third mage, and he stuck well, so.
so does it work more like a Lego game in that you can complete all the levels with any group of characters, but there is like an optimal team, or there are certain puzzles that you need like this guy to do to like break through this wall, you need Hulk, but in order to get through this section, you don't.
No, there are certain puzzles that need a rogue. There are certain puzzles that need a mage. There are certain puzzles that will need a stronger, like, warrior type person. But
Okay.
basically, as long as you have those three archetypes in your party, you're fine.
Oh, okay.
So, like, my main crew was myself as a shield and sword kind of a champion class, which is the kind of control the battlefield tactician in terms of D&D.
Wait, are we talking about Dragon Age, or are we talking about what are we talking about?
Dragon Age.
Oh well,
I
crap.
thought we
Never
were talking
mind.
about Dragon Age.
I thought we were talking about your Disney Infinity crap. My bad.
Oh, we're not there yet.
Oh,
Anyway,
okay.
thanks
I was
thanks for
completely
spoiling.
Um,
So yeah, so anyway, so you obviously that wasn't a question I need to answer. So I also
yeah.
got a bunch of gift cards that I traded into PSN money and bought just a buttload of random stuff because they've had crazy sales lately.
Yeah,
Um,
I didn't buy anything on the sale. I was just like, look, I'm playing WoW. I should probably not spend money on other games. And like, yeah,
well, I had a GameStop gift card, so I traded it into
like
PSN
25.
money.
Yeah, I've done
So
that.
I still have $5 on a GameStop gift card. I need to figure out what to do with. Uh,
Buy a
but
GBA game.
do they still have those at GameStop?
I think they do. Like, they probably have different kinds of Pokemon and things like that.
You think a Pokemon's $5?
No, no, it's not even $5 at a thrift store. I picked up a copy of Leaf Green, and I talked
Yeah.
the guy into letting me have it for $10
Oh,
because I found it in his box of random video game crap, and he had a blue and a green, the GBA green, and I was like, how much do you do that? And he Googled it, and he's like, well, they're like $40, and I'm like, no, that's the new game. That thing just came out, and I'm like, I give you 10 for it. Okay.
the only good deal I've ever found on a Pokemon title was I got Pokemon Yellow for $7 at a vintage stock, and was kind of one of those things they like picked it up and they flipped it over and it had the price tag on it, and I was like, yeah, I'll buy that. And they were kind of like paused, like, is this the right price tag? But it scanned correctly in the computer.
So it was
So
like bonus.
yeah, I
Well,
don't know why.
there was that Game Boy that sold with yellow. So I mean, there's probably a lot of those
Yeah,
out in the wild, but I would
yeah, but the
imagine
problem,
there's.
like even with sales, like red and blue are going to be way ahead of yellow.
Oh yeah.
And it said on the tag untested. So for some reason they didn't test it or something.
Oh. Yeah, I looked
So
at it. I think brand new, well, not brand new, but like on that video game price chart website that you use,
hmm
it said that loose that game goes for about $18. So
yeah.
I still got it for like $8 under whatever. But I'm thinking about giving that guy that website next time I go in there. That way he can like adequately price the things because he sells them for half of whatever. So
See, I would tell them that like if you want to move, go to VG charts. I'm not VG charts. Video game price charting.
yeah.
Take the loose price, and if you want to get rid of it, sell it for half of that. If you want
Well,
to, if you want to make a solid deal on it, sell for 3/4 to 90% of that. But
yeah.
don't sell it for the loose price because you won't actually sell it.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing. Like it's a Goodwill, so it's that big Goodwill
Yeah.
up by my house.
Oh,
And
Goodwill already uses price charting. They should at least.
this guy doesn't. This guy doesn't know what he's doing when it comes to video games. And I was
What
like,
what Goodwill is that?
it's the one up by my house.
and
Just ask him if he's got a box of games in the back that you can look through, and he'll Google it and give you the wrong price, and you'll be like, no, that's not the right price.
okay. Anyway, so the only thing I got that I want to talk about later is I got Wolfenstein: The New Order. So we'll talk about that after we talk about the next thing you got for Christmas area time,
Well,
which was
actually,
your.
I actually just bought this on a whim. We were talking about like how I wanted to step away from like the third-person action game or like the big AAA PS3, PS4 titles. So like or like WoW or anything like that. Like I wanted to go back to when gaming was a simpler time. So I bought a 2DS. If I can see that
A
there.
2DS. I thought you bought a 3DS.
No, I bought a 2DS.
Okay, that's
Mostly
the one I'm
because
also going to buy.
it's cheaper.
Yes.
B, I really don't care about the 3D. I
There you
know
go.
there's a new 3DS coming out in like 2 weeks, but I don't really want to drop $200 on a console.
Yep.
And so far, there's only the one game that they've announced for it that only the 3DS will play, the new 3DS.
Yeah, I've been arguing with people over like since they announced the new 3DS. They're like, it's not going to split the market. It's just going to be like the Game Boy SP.
We had
And
the
like
same we had the same problem when the 3DS came out, right? Because then
yeah,
it would play all the old DS games, and then it would also play these new 3D games. And we
yes,
were all worried, oh, it's going to split the market, oh, it's going to split the market. But it turns out people will just rebuy Nintendo consoles.
yes,
Oh, I already have a DS, well, I'll buy the DSi. Or, oh, I'll buy
yes,
the 3DS. Or, oh, I'll buy the new 3DS.
yeah,
And so there's already like a ton of people, like out of the like 7 or 8 people I talk to on Vent every day,
Hmm.
most of them who have 3DSs have already been like, oh yeah, I've already pre-purchased the new 3DS. I'm just going to copy it
Yeah.
all over and then save my old 3DS.
See, like from hunches and past experience and looking at early sales out of Japan, it seems like the new 3DS is going to be the new Game Boy Color, where it doesn't stick around that long, but it does have a sizable library in and of itself.
Well, yeah, because it
So
has all past games plus all future games.
yeah.
And it's for all purposes or whatever, it's actually a hell of an upgrade because it not only has that little weird eraser nib, it also has two
Mhm.
extra buttons on the back. So you more or less have like an Xbox controller, a PS4 controller in your hand. It's just that weird eraser nib is I don't know, I don't really like that. It seems really weird to me.
That's just their way of saving money.
Well,
Um,
yeah. And the thing is with like the
it's not
2D.
going to be as good as the joystick. It's not going to be good as a circle pad. It's
But it
it's what it is.
functions okay from what I
Yeah.
can gather. I haven't touched one. None of the GameStops around here or any Best Buys have one.
Hmm.
But it seems like it functions okay as just like a camera control,
Yeah.
which games like Majora's Mask sorely needed back in the day, and now now that it's coming out on the same day as this new hardware, I think it would be really really awesome to have just a free camera that you can control and look any direction.
Hmm.
And it also works well for Monster Hunter and that Xeno Saga game that's coming out later this year.
Xenoblade Chronicles.
Okay, I was close. It was a Xeno something.
Yeah.
It's not a
So
series I follow,
Xenosaga,
though.
Xenogears was the first on PlayStation. Xenosaga was the one on PS2, and then they did Xenoblade Chronicles, and then they're going to do Xenoblade Chronicles X on the Wii U.
Okay. Okay. But anyway,
They're
like
thematically linked.
yeah. But in the last 2 weeks or so since I bought my
Hmm.
2DS, I've gold cupped all the races in Mario Kart 7,
Hmm.
and I've almost beat Link Between Worlds. I'm on the last dungeon now, and I think I'm like halfway through it. Um,
Hmm.
and that game, I haven't played a Legend of Zelda game seriously since probably Ocarina. Like even Majora's is not one of those games that I played because at that point I'm doing other stuff. Um,
Yeah.
but it does take A Link to the Past and it makes a sequel out of it. And the original world is more or less copy pasted. The Dark World has been shattered, so you have to do a lot more traveling and fast traveling and
Mhm.
sneaking around and stuff like that. But it's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I'm a little bummed out that it's not taking me that long to beat. Like I can beat a dungeon in 20, 30 minutes while I'm on lunch. But it's a Zelda game, and I love me some Zelda, and I'll probably pick up whenever I get a little bit of money, maybe after my birthday. I'll pick up
Mhm.
Ocarina and Majora's, and I can play them on my
Mhm.
2DS
Cool.
because it's primarily what I bought that for. Anyway, I don't really care about third-party stuff. I might pick up like I don't know some non-mainstream Mario Zelda title, maybe a Kirby title, but I doubt I'm going to play any third-party games on my 2DS.
Yeah. Well, I'm also planning on getting a 2DS eventually when they're below $75, which looks to be sooner rather than later,
Well, I mean, you can get
based on it.
5, I think, or 90. So yeah, in a few
Yeah.
years, you'll be able to get them for under 75.
Yeah. And it seems like Nintendo's continuing production on those, so they're selling pretty well, I guess, as
Well, I mean,
baby's
they're
first.
baby's first game handheld.
Yeah.
Well, and it's not bad, and honestly, like after because we were talking about it, and I said, oh, it looks like it'll be Hand Cramp City. It's really not that bad, and in fact, it would be
Hmm.
because we both have adult-sized hands because we're adults and stuff. It seems like it's more comfortable to use than it would be if I had a DS, like the foldable DSs.
Yeah.
Because all the buttons aren't crammed down into half of it, they like extend up through the sides, and it's actually
Yeah.
able to play for long periods of time.
Yeah. It feels a little bit more like playing on a tablet, how you hold it with your hands,
Yeah, it
right?
does. Yeah, it's like stretching your fingers though, because it's the whole length, so it's like a I don't know 4 or 5 inch little console, but stretching your fingers out to like use the shoulder buttons is
Hmm.
kind of a stretch, but I only use those for Mario Kart anyway. So.
Mm. Got to do those slides.
That's right, you got to grind to get the speed boost. So what
But
else did
yeah,
you
so
pick up?
the 2DS is solid. I think coming out of the 2DS, this we're on this topic of Nintendo, I think Nintendo's recent financial reports for the year have been interesting in the fact that while sales have basically remained flat, if not declined, on both the 3DS and Wii U, they've managed to streamline their company enough that they're now going to push a profit for the first time in 3 years.
But you know, they already know that the new 3DS is going to sell fairly well. Like even with the upgraded hardware and it probably costing them close to $200 a unit to make, they're going to recoup that fairly quickly. I feel, because there's a lot of people who just buy them.
See, I feel like Nintendo has a core audience of 20 to 30 million people, spread across portable and home console.
Yeah,
with a lot of overlap between those two. And if they can figure out a business of, we can guarantee selling to these many people over the life of the system, how do we then make it profitable? You know, if that is, okay, well, we have to sell a 3DS, a new 3DS, a new 3DS, a 3DS SI, and a 2DS, and a 2DS2 before we jump forward onto a new refresh, then that's what we have to do. And I think that's the problem with Wii U sales, where even comparing Wii U sales in 2013 to this year, I thought after I heard that Nintendo had pulled a profit, I was like, cool, Wii U sales have picked up. But Wii U sales have actually slightly declined, which is bonkers to me when you consider what we saw in 2014 in terms of games from Nintendo and what we saw in 2013. Like in 2013, you had Super Mario 3D Land. You had.
Well, it was that was a year after launch, right?
Yeah, and you had Wind Waker.
Yeah.
No, that was a year after launch.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
They launched in 2012.
Well, yeah, because it was a year before the PS4 and the PS3, Xbox One.
So it's weird to me that in the year that you have a mainstream Mario title and a remaster of a Zelda title, you sell more than the year with a Mario Kart and a Smash Brothers.
But, you know, maybe a lot of their hardcore fans picked up a Wii U for a Smash. Like, I know one of the guys I work with bought a Wii U just specifically so he could play Smash. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. So there, like, I imagine there are a lot of those people out there that were waiting for a Smash, waiting for a Mario Kart. We talk all the time about the people waiting for Wii U Zelda, which I keep seeing people saying it's going to come out in 2015, like we have a firm date and the game's done. But I am going to silently giggle when that game flips.
When 16 rolls around and we're still waiting. Yeah. I mean,
because all the Zelda games have slipped.
Yeah,
like,
they have.
Even Link to the Past slipped, going back that far. So it was just kind of like, they were like, oh, it's definitely coming out in 2015, and all we've seen for it is a cinematic trailer, and I guess maybe gameplay.
That might have been gameplay, yeah.
It wasn't even like a guy playing the game. Like, it was a guy standing in front of, like, an open field. So it was like, I feel bad for Nintendo fans sometimes, and this Zelda 2015, we're definitely going to get Zelda Wii U. It's 100% sure. Like, tenacity is kind of evidence of that, where I'm like, guys, games, if you've learned nothing from all of the releases lately, games that don't slip end up coming out jankety. And Nintendo's not immune to that.
No, but I think they're better at releasing non-janky games than, say...
Well, because I think Nintendo's better at saying, this game's not up to snuff, so we're going to hold it back.
They have the same mentality that, like, Blizzard has, where it has, this is the bar, and if it's not here, then it doesn't go. We will push it back 6 weeks or 6 months if it has to be.
So I'm worried about, with all of the business-minded decisions that Nintendo's making, closing Club Nintendo, shrinking, basically creating an amiibo market uh, with a product that does almost nothing, and then pushing them out in so limited quantities that they know they're going to sell, being
Well, and
so business minded. At what point does that super business minded meet this Zelda game's not ready, but we need something for Christmas 2015, but this Zelda game's not ready, but we need something for Christmas 2015.
well, if you watched, did you? I don't know if you watched their last Nintendo Direct. They hinted at a amiibo-centric Mario title, which is probably going to be very similar to
Well, I
the
thought
Disney
the Mario
Infinity
Party,
or something
right?
like that. I don't think it
Mario
was that.
Party.
I thought it was no, because they talked about a Mario Party and they said, "Oh, there's these special Mario Party amiibos that you can buy." But then they
Yeah,
also hinted at another title, I think.
I thought that was Mario Maker, which has slipped.
I don't know. I want to say they had said something about an amiibo-centric game where you would basically be required to use your amiibos, but could use all of them, and it would be. My assumption was it was going to be something like Disney Infinity and things like that. Now I could be wrong. I haven't watched it in about
That
a
would
week
be
and a
really
half.
cool. I would be very into that product. We'll talk later
Because
about Disney
then you
Infinity.
would actually have a real use for these amiibos, right? Like instead of just,
Yeah,
oh, here I'm going to level up this Smash character, or oh, here I'm going to level up this Mario Kart character, or I'm going to level up
or
this
oh
Mario
here
Party guy.
I'm gonna unlock this DLC by
Yeah,
putting my Peach
I will.
amiibo on Mario Party.
Yeah.
Which the video they showed of that, of if you put the amiibo, you get a special board that's just about that amiibo. Blah 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 blah
hmm
blah.
But
And
only
then
only the
it
Mario
was
Party amiibos, not
yeah,
you
only
can
the
use
Mario Party amiibos.
which have a different colored
Well, look,
base than the ones for Smash or the
yeah,
ones for whatever.
and I think the Mario Party amiibo poses are better. They work better from like a we're building this chintzy piece of plastic and we need to paint it perspective.
Yeah.
So I think maybe the quality on those amiibos might be a little bit better just on how they're designed. But
Well,
the
that's
thing
not
I don't like about that is that when you scan your amiibo into Mario Party, your amiibo is now the piece moving around the Mario Party board. So everyone else has this animated character,
Oh, and
like
you
an
just have
animated
this little
Luigi.
static character,
Yeah,
yeah.
and it's just kind of hopping like an old Monopoly. Like remember when the like literally the old Monopoly video games used to do that. The dog would just kind of hop from space to space.
Yeah. Well, because that's how it would be in real life, right? You would take your character and go 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
4. What's the matter,
But if
Hazel?
there is a game like that, like I'm excited for it. Uh, but the thing that I'm concerned about is at what point, like, is it? Are we going to get a broken Zelda, like as
I don't.
broken as Assassin's Creed Unity was?
And see, that's just it. I've gotten
If
AC Unity, but I
Nintendo
haven't even put
really
it in my
needs
PS4
something
yet.
out of, like,
Like,
if Nintendo really needs something for Christmas, do they look at the broken Zelda game, which is this huge open world that they haven't really done before? It's going to break all these boundaries. It's going to be Skyrim with Link, which is a huge, massive undertaking that Nintendo hasn't done before. Like, what happens?
I don't know. And it'd be nice
Like,
to
I would
see, like,
rather.
it would be nice for them to put out a game like that, since we have all these open world games that use the same crap over and over and over again. It'd be nice to see like a fresh take on the open world.
Mm-hmm.
Still imagine they're going to, gate things off until you have, certain items or whatever, because they do that. It's a Zelda
Oh, the
game.
hook
It's what
shot.
you do in a Zelda game.
Like, Link to the Past is an open world game.
Mm-hmm. Kind of.
After you wake up in that cabin, you can pretty much go most places. It's just there are ones that are gated.
You have to have the
But,
hook
like,
shot.
so
You have to be able to swim or whatever. Yeah.
or pick up the giant rocks.
Yeah.
But my problem is I would rather see a Nintendo unfettered by the home console, because that's clearly where they're falling behind.
Yeah.
So I would rather see them not have that business concern of we need to have something out for Christmas 2015, because we're not going to have whatever Call of Duty, whatever Assassin's Creed, whatever big thing comes for the PlayStation, whatever big thing comes from the Xbox. We're just going to have this thing from Nintendo, and maybe it's Mario Maker, or maybe it's Star Fox, or maybe it's this, or maybe it's that.
Yeah.
But we really
Forgot
need
about
this
Star
Zelda
Fox.
game. So, like, my problem is like, is releasing a broken Zelda game worth however many Wii U sales they're going to get? And I don't want them to ever release a broken Zelda game.
No, I
like,
honestly don't want that either.
They're on
but-
that trajectory.
Yeah, I mean, I'm afraid that they're going to push a game before it's done, and we're gonna have the like that console, like at least with the PS4 or the Xbox One,
Mm-hmm.
AC Unity came out and it was broken. Okay, great. There are other things you can play on that console.
Yes.
If you're a Wii U owner, you don't have as many options. I'm not saying you don't have any options. I'm just saying you don't have as many options as you would have as a Wii U owner.
Yep.
Because there's just not, like, they don't have the third party support that the other two consoles have, and that's kind of the issue. Now I'm not saying they don't have the third party at all. Although I guess technically Platinum Games is owned by Nintendo, so it's first party. Maybe
Yeah, although the sales for Bayonetta 2 were just like if
doesn't
Platinum
warrant
Games
another
has
sequel?
no, if Platinum Games closes, it's Nintendo's fault.
Oh.
That's the end all be all.
Yeah.
Like maybe Microsoft can pour money into that company for that scale-bound game, but if Platinum closes, it's Nintendo's fault.
Oh yeah, I forgot they were doing that.
Because Platinum was so tied into the Wii U, and like, granted, we got Bayonetta 2, and Bayonetta 2 is an awesome game, but is it worth closing Platinum Games for, so that it can be on the Wii U and the Wii U only? No.
I don't think so.
Like,
and
would Platinum Games have? Like, we just got teased that Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance 2 is coming out. Like,
wasn't
is
that
that
like
a
a
Platinum game
Taiwanese
title?
game show type thing?
Yes. Go Kojima, you're crazy. But is that like, could they have just done Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance 2 in 2013 and worked on it and released it in 2014 to be more profitable than releasing Bayonetta?
Probably.
Like, everyone's talking about the Xenoblade Chronicles X game, JRPG coming out like it's the second coming. And it's like, you guys do realize that that's probably going to kill that company.
If it doesn't go, yeah.
Because it's not going to go. There's just not the things out there to put it on. Like, even if...
They're all hoping for those sales, man. Come on.
I don't know. And I think Nintendo's in a very weird spot with the home console business at the moment.
Yeah, and since
they can't do with the Wii U what they're doing with the 3DS, where here's a 2DS, here's a Majora's Mask 3DS, here's a blah 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 blah.
I mean,
they've already done the Wind Waker Zelda, and they'll do a Wii U when the next Zelda comes out. But a home console, you don't need 8 of them. You just need 1.
Yeah, well, there are, as odd as this is to say, there are people who will buy special editions just to have special editions.
Yes,
I used to work with
my point is the special edition home console market is a lot smaller than the special edition portable console market.
Handheld console. Yeah, I get that. I know a guy, like I used to work with a guy who bought every special edition Call of Duty Xbox that came out. It doesn't matter if it was $200 more than what you could just go to the store and buy. The guy bought it because it had an awesome paint job and it came with a special controller, and then he could just add it to his lineup. And I'm like, all right, well, I guess when that one red rings, you can use the next one, and then so on down the line. But I don't get it. Some people just like doing that, and some people have more money than common sense. You and me don't need more than one Wii U. You and me don't need more than one PS3, PS4, Xbox, whatever.
Yeah, but I could see myself if I've had a 3DS for a year and a half, and they come out with a Kirby 3DS would probably be the only 3DS that I'd be like, I need that. I could see myself going in for it. I could have seen myself going in for the Majora's Mask, although how Nintendo is now handling these limited edition releases, they're pulling the number. They have the number they know they can sell, and then they're selling half that many, just to make sure they can get it out the door. They're not sitting on old stock.
Well, yeah, because
that's creating this weird black market.
Yeah, well, yeah, because I've seen the resellers on Amazon and eBay, and they're like, "Oh, I'm going to sell this for like $400." Well, don't be a jerk. Come on.
Well, that's more power to them if people want to. But the only people that are going to get hurt by that activity in the long run is Nintendo, because their fans. That's not going to be as special anymore to them.
Or it'll be more special since they're manufacturing scarcity.
Yeah, but if you're how many times can you manufacture scarcity before people get wise?
Every time you release a new thing, and the people who get the last thing are going to fight harder for the new thing, and the people who
is that going to grow? Is that going to grow your market?
I probably.
Or is that going to keep you in the? Is that going to keep you in the,
That's
we
gonna
know
keep
we
you
can
in
count on
fourth
30
place.
million people to buy a Nintendo system?
That's going to keep you in fourth place. So.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, with 9.5 million Wii U's out there, I doubt they're going to get to 20.
You know,
The GameCube might be more successful than the Wii U.
maybe, but nothing's ever like when you're coming off the Wii, you're never gonna. I don't think they're ever gonna replicate that success, like how fast those shipped, how many of those shipped in such a short amount of time. Like that
But
was
it
a
is
fluke for
possible.
them. Well, no, it
It is
is.
possible.
Given a long enough amount of time, as long as they keep supporting it, I mean, at some point we're going to hit a million PS or 100 million PS3 sold. Yes, if we haven't already hit that
Yeah.
point.
I think we're in
Um,
the 80s.
okay,
But here's a
so
good example.
if they keep supporting it and
So,
they keep popping games out for it, then eventually Sony will hit that 100 million PS3s. And didn't we break that
mhm.
with the PS2 at some point, or did that peter off somewhere in the 80s or 90s?
Well, here's the good example. So the PlayStation 1 came out, sold gangbusters, 100 million units, I think, maybe less, and no one said Sony could do it again. And Sony did the PlayStation 2, and the PlayStation 2 is the most successful video game console of all time, bar none.
But
The DS
it had the
listen,
one thing. It had the one thing that the PS3 also has. The PS2 was the cheapest DVD player on the market when it came out. The PS3 was the
yep,
cheapest Blu-ray player on the market when it came out.
yep. Okay,
Non-gamers
so
are buying these for that
let me finish it, and we'll move on from the financial stuff because I know it bores people.
all time.
So, uh, so the PS2 came out, 157 million. The only thing that's ever come close to it is the DS across all of its many reprints and
Incarnations.
rechanges. Yep. And the PS3 came out, and when it didn't do well, people were like, "Well, lightning can't strike 3 times." And now the PS4 is outpacing the PlayStation 2.
Well, that's good. I mean, I'm
So,
not
like,
saying.
is there like obviously Sony hasn't found some mathematical recipe for super success, but that's not saying that Nintendo could not have done the Wii U success, the Wii's success again.
Yes. Yes. Well, yeah, and I think part of the
Like, do I
problem.
think the PlayStation 4 is going to get to 157 million? No, I don't think the market's that big anymore. But if it's as future-proofed as they say it is,
I
and they're
mean,
still selling them at a good clip in 7 years, they will definitely get to
yeah,
157.
in the next 4 or 5 years, especially in this country, Europe is a little bit better about their internet than we are. But in the next like 4 or 5 years, if everybody if broadband becomes a utility and not a luxury item or
Mm-hmm.
service, then yeah, the PS4 would become more future-proof since we already know that the game streaming works, right?
Yep.
PlayStation Now, as silly as I think the pricing scheme of it is,
Mm-hmm.
I
I
would
agree.
rather pay $10 a month or whatever it is to stream games rather than buy another $400 box.
Yep.
You know,
I mean, so
after 3 or 4 years
so
of that,
saying
yeah, you've basically paid for the box, but you're paying for it over 3 or 4 years, so it's like a car at that point. But
yeah,
you need the box, so why have the box if you don't need it? As long as your internet doesn't suck.
yeah. So Nintendo, like, do we think Nintendo's going to support the Wii U for 10 years?
I don't know. I think they're already hard at work on their next version of the home console if they're going to have
Mm-hmm.
one. Or
Yep.
and as weird as this sounds, they might ditch the home console and they might release something that's very similar to the Vita TV or the PlayStation TV or whatever it was
Mm-hmm.
called. And you would
Yeah.
just, link your 3DS to it and it would just put your 3DS games up there. And instead of having these
I think that would be a smart idea. One console, if people have one basic console this is the Nintendo box.
hmm
And since the portable happens to be more popular at the moment, that's the route you have to go.
for them anyway, like Nintendo's one of the top sellers of portable consoles, whereas Sony,
Yeah.
even the Vita is doing better in Asia, I think, than it is doing here.
I found out the other day, though, there's a rumor that there's more Vita sold than Wii U's, and if that's the case, Nintendo's doing worse than I thought they were doing.
Well, between the two of us, we both have Vitas and we don't have Wii U's.
It's true.
So
But
so
we're
there
also
there is an
we're also
infinite
Sony
amount.
fanboys. I can hear the comments going already. So